You're sitting in your truck. It's a beautiful machine, really. $63,000 after taxes and the lift kit, four-wheel drive, heated leather seats, a backup camera that beeps when you get too close to anything. The salesman told you it could handle anything. The commercials showed it, conquering mountains, fording rivers, plowing through snow like it was nothing. You believed them. Why wouldn't you? You paid for capability. You paid for safety. You paid for the confidence to drive into conditions that would stop other people. And now you're stopped. Interstate 80 through Wyoming. It's been 6 hours since the last vehicle moved. The snow hasn't stopped. It's not going to stop. The wind is pushing drifts across the highway faster than you can process what's happening. You can't see the car in front of you anymore. It's just a white lump. You might be a white lump to the person behind you, if there's still someone behind you. The radio went silent an hour ago. Your phone has one bar, then no bars, then one bar again, but nothing loads. You've tried calling, it just rings and rings into a void that doesn't care. You're warm right now, the engine is running, the heat is on full blast. You've got a half tank of gas. You think you're fine. You think you'll wait this out. You think the plows will come. You think rescue is a matter of hours, not days. You think your truck, this fortress of steel and modern engineering, will keep you alive. And that's the thought that's going to kill you. Because in about 18 hours, when your fuel runs out and the temperature inside this cabin plummets to match the negative 15 degrees outside, when your fingers stop working and your brain starts shutting down, when you're too weak to make the decisions that could still save you, you'll realize something terrible. Your truck didn't fail you. Your understanding of what this machine actually is, that's what failed. The marketing sold you invincibility. Reality is about to deliver a climate-controlled coffin. This isn't a hypothetical. This happens every single winter. People die in their vehicles on highways, surrounded by thousands of dollars of technology that becomes utterly useless the moment the fuel runs out or the exhaust pipe gets blocked. They die confident. They die believing help is coming. They die 20 feet from other people who are also dying, separated by sheet metal and the shared delusion that modern engineering beats physics. It doesn't. It never has. And if you don't understand the 7 deadly assumptions built into your expensive truck, you're going to become another statistic that gets mentioned in the spring thaw. Let's start with the biggest lie, the one that got you into this mess in the first place. You bought four-wheel drive because you wanted to go anywhere. The commercials made it look like magic. Snow, mud, rocks, sand, it doesn't matter. Engage 4WD and suddenly you're unstoppable. That's the promise. That's what you paid extra for. It's technically true in the narrowest possible interpretation. Four-wheel drive does exactly one thing. It distributes engine power to all 4 wheels instead of just 2. That increases traction. That helps you move when two-wheel drive would just spin and go nowhere. And that's it. That's the entire mechanical reality. Four-wheel drive helps you go. It does absolutely nothing to help you stop. It doesn't improve your brakes. It doesn't change the coefficient of friction between your tires and ice. It doesn't defy physics. When you hit the brakes on ice, you're sliding, four-wheel drive or not. But here's the real problem. Four-wheel drive doesn't just fail to help you in the ways people think it does. It actively makes things worse by changing your behavior. You drive into conditions you would never attempt in a normal car. You go further from help because you feel capable. You take the mountain pass instead of the longer valley route. You keep driving when the weather turns bad because you think you can handle it. And when you finally get stuck, when the snow is too deep or the ice is too slick or you slide into a ditch, you're not 5 miles from town anymore. You're 50 miles from town. You're in the middle of nowhere because your truck convinced you that nowhere was safe. The false confidence loop is the killer. The machine gives you traction, and your brain interprets that as invincibility. You venture further. You take bigger risks. And when those risks catch up to you, when you're finally stranded, the four-wheel drive doesn't generate heat. It doesn't provide food. It doesn't call for help. It just sits there, dead weight, a mechanical feature that got you into a situation it can't get you out of. Your $70,000 investment in capability just put you in a search and rescue dead zone. The 4WD badge on your tailgate might as well say, I drove myself into a position where rescue is measured in days, not hours. Now you're here, stuck. The thing you paid for has delivered you to this moment, and now it's useless. But you still have the engine. You still have heat. You'll just run it until help comes. That's the second assumption, and it's the one that kills people while they sit there feeling comfortable. Your truck burns about 3/4 of a gallon per hour at idle, maybe more depending on how cold it is and what accessories you're running. Let's say you've got half a tank. That's 15 gallons in most trucks. At 3/4 of a gallon per hour, you've got 20 hours of heat. Maybe 24 if you're lucky and conservative. The storm you're in, the one that shut down the entire interstate, that storm is going to last anywhere from 24 to 72 hours before conditions improve enough for plows to even start working. And then they have to clear 100 miles of highway, which takes another 12 to 24 hours. You do the math. Your fuel runs out while you're still stranded. The engine dies, and the temperature inside your truck, that comfortable 70 degrees you're enjoying right now, it's going to match the outside temperature in about an hour, maybe less if the wind is bad. You'll try to conserve fuel, you'll turn the engine off, wait until you're freezing, then turn it back on for a few minutes. You'll do the math in your head, trying to stretch those gallons across 2 days. And while you're doing that, while you're carefully managing your fuel, you're not thinking about the exhaust pipe. The snow is still falling, it's drifting, it's piling up around your vehicle. The exhaust pipe, the one that vents deadly carbon monoxide away from your truck, it's getting buried, maybe completely blocked, maybe just partially restricted. And when that happens, when the CO has nowhere to go, it doesn't just disappear, it seeps into your cabin, through gaps in the body, through the ventilation system that's supposed to bring in fresh air but is now pulling in exhaust. Carbon monoxide is colorless, it's odorless, it's tasteless. You won't know it's there until you start feeling the symptoms. First comes the headache. You think it's stress. You think it's dehydration. Then the dizziness, the nausea. You feel tired. You think you'll just rest for a minute. Your thinking gets cloudy. You know you should check the exhaust pipe. You know you should go outside and clear the snow, but it's so cold out there and you're so warm in here and you're so tired. And then you fall asleep and you don't wake up. They find you in the spring thaw, or whenever the plows finally reach your section of highway, slumped in the driver's seat of your $60,000 Coffin, killed by the very system that was supposed to keep you comfortable. You'll hear the advice. Keep the exhaust clear. Check it every 30 minutes. And that's fine advice if you're in a light snow shower that lasts an hour. But you're in a blizzard. The snow is coming down at 2 inches per hour. The wind is pushing drifts constantly. To keep that exhaust pipe clear, you'd need to get out of your warm truck into the sub-zero wind and whiteout conditions every 15 to 20 minutes. You'd need to wade through thigh-deep snow, dig out the pipe, and get back in, all while your core temperature drops and your clothing gets soaked with snow that will melt against your body heat. You'd need to do this dozens of times over the next 48 hours. And every time you do it, you're risking frostbite, exhaustion, and disorientation in zero visibility. At some point, and it'll come sooner than you think, you'll decide the risk of going outside is worse than the risk of staying inside. You'll gamble that the exhaust is fine. And that gamble has killed people who made the same bet. But let's say you manage the fuel. Let's say you manage the carbon monoxide. You've still got your phone. That's your lifeline, right? You can call for help. You can check the weather. You can let people know where you are, except your phone is dying and you don't even realize how fast it's happening. Lithium-ion batteries hate the cold. They're designed to work between 32 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside that range, the chemical reactions that produce electricity slow down dramatically. At 0 degrees, your fully charged battery loses 30 to 50% of its capacity. It's not that the charge is gone, it's that the battery can't deliver it. The chemistry doesn't work anymore. At -20, which is what it's going to be outside your truck once the engine dies, your phone will shut off, even if it says 50% charged. You'll try to turn it on, it'll show the battery icon and die. Over and over. And even if you keep it warm against your body, even if you manage to keep it functional, the cell towers aren't going to last much longer than your truck battery.
Cell towers run on electricity, same as everything else. They've got backup batteries that last 6 to 24 hours. Some have generators, but those need fuel, and in a regional emergency where roads are closed and no one can get to the tower sites, those generators run dry.
After that, your signal dies. You'll see it happen in real time. Full bars, then 3 bars, then 1 bar, then nothing. And even when you had signal, even when you could get a call through, the 911 system is overwhelmed. Hundreds of people are calling, thousands maybe. Your call gets logged, your location gets noted, and then you wait. Because there's nothing anyone can do until the storm stops and the road's clear. Your phone was never a lifeline. It was a psychological comfort device. It let you feel connected to a system that no longer exists for you. When it dies, and it will die, you're going to feel the isolation in a way that's almost physical. The modern world runs on connectivity. You've never really been alone because you've always had a phone. Even in the woods, even in the middle of nowhere, you had the option to call someone. That option is gone now. You're alone, actually alone. And your brain isn't ready for it, but you're resourceful. You're capable. You don't need a phone. You can walk out. The last exit was only 7 miles back. 7 miles is nothing. You walk further than that on a hiking trip, you can make it. You can get to a gas station, a town, somewhere with heat and people and help. And this is the thought that kills more people than almost anything else. 7 miles in summer, on a clear day, wearing comfortable shoes, that's a 2-hour walk. Annoying, but doable. 7 miles in a blizzard, in deep snow, in sub-zero temperatures with wind chill dropping it even further, that's a death march. Your normal walking speed is 3 to 4 miles per hour. In snow that's 1 to 2 feet deep, you're moving at 1 mile per hour if you're lucky. More likely half that. You're high-stepping every stride, lifting your feet clear of the snow, punching through with every step. It's exhausting. Your heart rate spikes. You start sweating despite the cold. And that sweat is soaking into your clothes, which are now losing their insulation value. Wet clothing in cold is a death sentence. It conducts heat away from your body 25 times faster than air. And you can't see. Whiteout conditions mean visibility is 10 feet, maybe less. You can't see the road, you can't see the edge, you can't see the ditch you're about to walk into. You're navigating by feel, by memory, by guessing. And in those conditions, people walk in circles. They think they're going straight. They're not. They veer without realizing it. They end up perpendicular to the road, walking into open fields, getting further from help with every step. When rescuers find them, if they find them, they're hundreds of yards from where they should have been, frozen in a position that suggests they sat down to rest and never got back up. Because that's what happens. You walk until you're exhausted. Your core temperature is dropping. Your body is burning calories, trying to generate heat. But you don't have enough fuel. You're not eating enough because you didn't bring food, or you're rationing it, or you already ate it all in the truck. Your muscles are failing. Your brain is getting foggy. You tell yourself you'll just sit down for a minute, just catch your breath, just rest. And you don't get back up. The snow covers you within an hour. You become part of the landscape. And when rescuers finally search the area, they're looking for your truck, because that's where you're supposed to be. They don't expect you to have wandered off. They don't search random fields for bodies buried under snow. You disappear. And it's your own capability, your own confidence, and your ability to walk 7 miles that killed you. The truck was a landmark. It was visible from the air once the storm cleared. It was a known position on the road that rescuers would check. Leaving it erased your location. You became a needle in a whiteout haystack. The survival rule is absolute. Stay with the vehicle. It's not a suggestion. It's the difference between being found and being a statistic. But even if you stay with the truck, even if you resist the urge to walk out, you're still sitting in a structure that's fundamentally hostile to survival once the engine dies. Your truck is not a shelter. It's a metal box with glass windows, and metal boxes make terrible shelters when you can't heat them. Modern vehicles are designed around the assumption of active climate control. They're built with thin sheet metal shells. The insulation in the doors and roof is minimal, just enough to deaden road noise and provide a tiny bit of thermal buffering. The windows are huge because visibility and aesthetics matter more than heat retention. And metal, that frame and body your truck is built from, metal is an excellent conductor. It pulls heat out of the cabin and dumps it into the cold air outside. When the engine is running, when you've got forced air heating pumping warm air constantly, this doesn't matter. The heat loss is trivial compared to the heat being generated. But when the engine dies, when there's no more heat source, the cabin temperature starts dropping immediately. At -10 outside, with wind, your truck's interior will match the exterior temperature in 30 to 60 minutes. Maybe 90 minutes if you've got decent insulation and you've sealed the doors well. But that's it. After that, you're sitting in a freezer, the glass windows are radiating your body heat outward, the metal frame is conducting cold inward. Any gap around the doors, any vent, any seal that's not perfect, that's a draft channeling cold air directly onto you. You're not in a sealed shelter. You're in a barely enclosed wind tunnel made of materials that are actively working against your survival. And here's the part nobody thinks about until it's too late. If you're touching the door, if you're leaning against the window, if any part of your body is in direct contact with that cold, soaked metal or glass, you're losing heat at an accelerated rate. Contact with cold surfaces causes localized frostbite faster than you'd think possible. Your shoulder against the door, your head against the window, those contact points are freezing while the rest of you is just cold. People have been found with frostbite patterns that map exactly to where they were touching their vehicle's interior. The machine that was supposed to protect them became the thing that froze them. Your truck, without the engine, is not meaningfully better than being outside, except that it blocks wind. That's it. That's the only advantage.
Wind protection.
Everything else, the temperature, the humidity, the risk of hypothermia, it's all the same. You will freeze to death inside your truck at approximately the same rate you'd freeze outside, unless you do something to change the equation. And that requires gear you probably don't have, knowledge you probably haven't practiced, and actions you need to take in the first few hours, not after you're already hypothermic. Let's talk about that gear. You've got an emergency kit. You're prepared. You bought one of those red bags they sell at the auto parts store. Or maybe you put together your own. Flashlight, some granola bars, a bottle of water, a cheap fleece blanket, maybe a first aid kit. And you put it in the back of your truck, under the tonneau cover, because that's where it's out of the way.
Or it's in your garage at home because you kept meaning to put it in the truck, but you never got around to it. Either way, it's not helping you right now.
The snow has drifted 3 feet high around your truck. The tailgate is frozen shut. Even if you could get it open, even if you could reach your gear, your fingers are already numb, and you're shivering so hard you can barely coordinate your movements. The gear you thought you had, it might as well not exist. Accessibility is everything. If your emergency supplies aren't in the cabin with you, within arm's reach, they're not part of your survival plan. They're just items you own that happen to be nearby while you die. And let's say you did keep the gear in the cabin. Let's say it's right there behind your seat. Have you ever actually used it? Have you tested that flashlight in the cold to see if the batteries die immediately? Have you tried wrapping yourself in that emergency blanket to see if it actually provides warmth or if it just crinkles loudly and tears the moment you move? Have you practiced starting a fire with that magnesium fire starter you bought? Or does it just sit in the bag looking tactical? Most people buy gear as a psychological comfort. They think ownership equals preparedness. It doesn't. Untested gear is just expensive trash that gives you false confidence. The water bottle you packed, it's frozen solid. You can't drink it. The granola bar is so cold, it's like biting into a frozen rock. Your teeth hurt. The fleece blanket, which is made of synthetic material that provides almost no insulation when compressed, is doing virtually nothing against the cold. You wrap it around yourself, and you're still shivering. And you realize far too late that you didn't pack enough. 1 bottle of water for 48 hours, 1 granola bar, 1 thin blanket. You thought you were covering emergencies. You were covering a minor inconvenience, not a survival scenario. The difference between those two things is the difference between discomfort and death. But even if you had good gear, even if you had wool blankets and high-calorie food and multiple ways to generate heat, you're still waiting for rescue. You're still assuming someone is coming, and they might be, eventually. But you're one of hundreds of people stranded on this highway. You're one of thousands of emergencies happening simultaneously across the region. Rescue operations have to prioritize. Medical emergencies first, families with small children, elderly people, visible distress signals. A healthy adult sitting in a truck, that's low priority. You could be waiting 2 days, you could be waiting 3, and every hour you wait, your situation gets worse. The 911 call you made 6 hours ago, it's in a database. Your location is noted, but the dispatcher told you to stay in your vehicle and wait. There's nothing else they can do. The roads are impassable. The plows can't operate in zero visibility. The storm has to stop before anyone can move. And when it does stop, when conditions finally improve, the plows have to clear 100 miles of highway. That's slow work. They're moving at 5 to 10 miles per hour, clearing one lane, then coming back for the second lane. If you're at mile marker 70 and they start at mile marker 0, you're looking at 14 hours before a plow even reaches you. And the plow doesn't rescue you. It just clears the road so that rescue vehicles can get to you eventually. You're not high priority. You don't have a medical emergency yet. You're cold, you're scared, but you're not actively dying as far as anyone knows. So you wait. And while you wait, your fuel runs out. Your phone dies. Your body temperature drops. And by the time someone finally reaches your truck, you're past the point where you can be saved. They find you hypothermic, unresponsive, or already gone. Another person who thought rescue was guaranteed and thought they could wait it out, rescue is not a guarantee. It's a possibility. It's a maybe. Your survival depends on what you do in the first 6 hours, not what someone else does in 48. If you haven't taken action by the time you're 12 hours in, if you haven't implemented a real survival protocol, you're already in serious trouble. So what actually works? What's the protocol when you're stuck in your truck in a blizzard and rescue is days away? It's not complicated, but it requires you to act immediately, not after you've burned half your fuel and you're already cold. First 30 minutes. Stop trying to move the truck. Accept that you're stationary. Assess your fuel. Check the gauge and calculate how many hours you have if you run the engine continuously. And don't run it continuously. Cycle it. 15 minutes on, 45 minutes off. That stretches your fuel across days instead of hours. Every time you run the engine, get out and clear the exhaust pipe. Yes, it's cold. Yes, it's unpleasant. Do it anyway. Carbon monoxide will kill you faster than cold will. Crack a window slightly to ensure ventilation. You'll lose some heat, but you'll stay alive. Inventory everything in your vehicle: food, water, clothing, tools. Lay it out so you know exactly what you have. Eat and drink small amounts regularly. Your body needs fuel to generate heat. Dehydration accelerates hypothermia. If your water is frozen, start melting it using body heat. Put a bottle inside your jacket against your core. It'll take time, but it works. Do not eat snow directly. Your body has to use precious core heat to melt it internally. That's a net loss of warmth. Put on every piece of clothing you have. Layers matter. Socks, gloves, hats. Your extremities lose heat fastest. Cover your head. You lose massive amounts of heat through your scalp. If you don't have a hat, use a shirt, a towel, anything. Insulate the windows. Use floor mats, seat covers, cardboard, anything you can find to block the glass. Glass is a massive thermal bridge. Covering it reduces radiant heat loss significantly. Reduce the space you're trying to keep warm. If you have a truck with a back seat or an extended cab, move to the smallest area and seal it off from the rest of the vehicle. Use blankets, coats, tarps if you have them. A smaller space is easier to warm with body heat. Build a nest. You're not trying to keep the whole cabin comfortable. You're trying to keep one small area survivable. Signal for help. Tie something bright to your antenna. A piece of clothing, a rag, anything that contrasts with the white. Crack a window and let fabric hang out to wave in the wind. If you have a reflective emergency triangle, get it out and place it if you can do so safely, but don't wander far from the vehicle. Once the snow stops, rescuers will be looking for visual markers. Make yourself visible. When the engine is off and you're in the 45-minute cold phase, stay active. Move your limbs, flex your muscles, generate heat through movement, but not so much that you sweat. Sweating soaks your clothes and makes everything worse. Small, controlled movements. Clench and release your fists, tense your legs, keep blood flowing. If you have other people with you, huddle together. Share body heat. This isn't optional. This is physics. 2 people together stay warmer than 2 people apart. If you have candles, and you should have candles in your emergency kit, light 1. A single candle produces about 80 watts of heat. It won't warm the whole cabin, but in a small enclosed space, it makes a measurable difference. Put it in a metal can for safety. Watch it constantly. Never sleep with an open flame. But a candle can raise the temperature in a small space enough to prevent frostbite. It's not comfort. It's survival. Stay awake or manage sleep very carefully. If you're hypothermic, falling asleep can be fatal. Your body's metabolic rate drops during sleep. You generate less heat. Your core temperature falls further. If you must sleep, set an alarm every 30 minutes. Wake up, move around, check your status. If you have multiple people, take shifts. One person stays awake and monitors while the other rests. Never let everyone sleep at once. This is not a comfortable process. This is not easy. You're going to be cold. You're going to be miserable. You're going to question whether you're doing the right thing. But if you follow this protocol, if you manage your fuel, prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, insulate yourself, signal for help, and maintain your core temperature through active management, you can survive 72 hours or more. People have done it. The difference between them and the people who died is that they acted early and they understood the physics of their situation. Now let's talk about the gear that actually matters. The gear that needs to be in your vehicle right now. Not someday, not after you watch this video and forget about it, but today. This gear needs to be accessible. That means front cabin storage, behind the seats or under them, not in the bed, not in the trunk, not at home in your garage. In the cabin where you can reach it even if you're cold, even if you're panicked, even if the back of your vehicle is buried in snow. Thermal gear first. 2 to 3 wool blankets, not fleece, not cotton, wool. Wool insulates even when wet. It's durable, it's heavy, but that weight is worth it. Add 2 to 3 space blankets, the Mylar kind. They're not comfortable, but they reflect body heat, and they weigh nothing. Pack 10 or more chemical hand warmers and foot warmers. They generate heat for hours. Put them in your gloves, your boots, against your core. They can prevent frostbite, and they're dirt cheap. Calories, 3,000 or more per person in high-fat, shelf-stable form. Nuts, chocolate bars, energy bars, pemmican if you can find it. Fat generates more heat during digestion than carbs or protein. You're not eating for taste. You're eating for thermogenesis. Pack food that doesn't freeze into inedible blocks and doesn't require preparation. Water, 1 gallon per person minimum. Store it in an insulated container or accept that it will freeze and you'll need to melt it. Include a metal container, a steel water bottle, or a camping pot, something you can use to melt snow or heat water if you have a heat source. Hydration is critical. Dehydration makes you colder, weakens your decision-making, and accelerates every other problem you're facing. Heat sources. 3 to 4 large candles, the kind that burn for hours. Include a lighter and waterproof matches as backup. Add fire starter cubes. If you have space, a small camping stove with fuel canisters, but only if you know how to use it safely in an enclosed space. Fire and carbon monoxide are real risks. Ventilation is mandatory. Signaling gear. Bright orange or red fabric, something large enough to be seen from a distance. A headlamp with spare lithium batteries. Lithium batteries handle cold better than alkaline. A reflective emergency triangle. A whistle. Whistles carry further than voices and take less energy to use repeatedly. Tools. A small folding shovel to clear the exhaust pipe and dig outdoors. A multi-tool for cutting, prying, and small repairs. Paracord or rope for securing things, creating shelters, or improvising solutions. Duct tape, because duct tape fixes everything and doubles as fire starter fuel. Shelter supplements. A tarp to cover windows for extra insulation or to create a smaller enclosed space inside the vehicle. More tarps for ground insulation if you need to exit the vehicle. Garbage bags. Heavy-duty contractor bags can be used as emergency ponchos, gear protection, insulation layers, or even improvised sleeping bag liners. This kit fits in a large duffel bag or a plastic storage bin. It costs a few $100s. It weighs maybe 30 pounds. And it's the difference between surviving and dying in your truck. The people who make it out of these situations, they're not special, they're not tougher, they just had the right gear in the right place, and they knew how to use it. But gear without knowledge is just expensive clutter. You need to know when to stay and when to go. That's the decision that determines everything, and most people get it wrong because they panic or they guess. Here's the logic: stripped of emotion. Stay in your vehicle if visibility is under 100 feet. If you can't see clearly, you can't navigate, you'll get lost, and you'll die. Stay if the temperature is below 0 with wind. Wind chill kills fast. Exposed skin gets frostbite in minutes. Stay if you don't know the exact distance to help. If you think it's maybe a mile, maybe 5 miles, stay. Uncertainty kills. Stay if you have fuel, water, and gear in the vehicle. You're better off managing your resources where you are than gambling on a walk. Stay if the storm is still active. Moving during a blizzard is suicidal. Consider leaving only if all of these are true. The storm has completely stopped. Visibility is clear. You can see structures or definite help within half a mile. You are currently warm, fed, and hydrated. You have proper clothing for the temperature, including insulated boots, gloves, and a hat. And you leave a note in your vehicle with your direction and departure time so rescuers know what happened. Never leave if you're already hypothermic. Never leave if you're disoriented. Never leave if you're guessing about distance or direction. The default answer is stay. Leaving the vehicle should be the absolute last option, considered only when staying means certain death and leaving offers a realistic chance. In 90 to 5% of situations, staying is the correct choice. Because here's the final truth, the one nobody wants to say out loud. Your $60,000 truck is a machine. It's metal, plastic, glass, and electronics. It does what it's designed to do. It moves you from one place to another when conditions permit. But it's not a survival shelter. It's not a lifeline. It's not a guarantee of safety. The marketing told you it was unstoppable. The commercials showed it conquering extreme environments. The salesman told you it could handle anything, and you believed them because the truck is impressive. It's big, it's powerful, it's expensive. It looks like it should be able to protect you. But when the fuel runs out, when the battery dies, when the systems fail, it's just a cold metal box that you're trapped inside. The truck didn't fail. The engineering is fine. The machine did what machines do. It ran until it couldn't run anymore. What failed was your understanding of what the machine actually is and what it can't do. You thought capability meant survivability. You thought four-wheel drive meant you could go anywhere and be fine. You thought the truck itself was the solution. It's not. It never was. The solution is knowledge. It's understanding thermodynamics, fuel consumption, carbon monoxide, hypothermia, and rescue timelines. It's having the right gear in the right place and knowing how to use it under stress. It's making the decision to act early, in the first hour, not after you're already in crisis. People survive these situations. Every winter, people get stranded in vehicles in blizzards, and they make it out alive. The difference between them and the people who die is not the vehicle they were driving. It's not the amount of money they spent, it's that they understood the physics of their situation, they had prepared for it, and they acted on that preparation when it mattered. The person in the $5,000 sedan with wool blankets, a case of water, and a bag of nuts survives. The person in the $70,000 luxury truck with nothing but a phone and a half tank of gas dies. Capability is not survivability. Gear is not knowledge, and your truck, no matter how expensive or advanced, is just a machine that stops working when the conditions exceed its design. So here's what you do right now. You walk out to your truck, you open the door, you look at what's actually inside, and you ask yourself one question. If I got stuck in this vehicle in sub-zero temperatures for 48 hours, would I survive? If the answer is no, you fix it. Today. Not next week. Not when you have time. Today. Because the storm doesn't wait for you to be ready. The blizzard doesn't care about your plans. And when you're sitting on that highway, surrounded by white, watching your fuel gauge drop, it will be too late to wish you had prepared. Your $60,000 truck is only as good as your understanding of what it can and cannot do. And if you don't understand that, if you're still trusting the marketing over the physics, then you're not driving a capable machine. You're driving a very expensive Coffin with heated seats. The grid can fail. The storm can trap you. The phone can die. But your knowledge, your preparation, and your respect for the physics of cold, those don't run out of fuel. Those are what keep you alive when the machine becomes just another piece of metal, freezing in the snow.